Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello friends, welcome to Chaitanya Studio at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. Myself, Dr. Vinodal Desai, working at Department of Computer Science, Sardar Patel University, Vallavidyanagar. In today's sessions, we are going to talk about various dialogues supported by JavaScript, functions, how to create functions, working with functions, and then after the document object model in a JavaScript. So first of all, let's see dialog. What is dialog? So simply dialogs are used to either show confirmation messages, raise an error, or show a warning message, or simply we can say it is used to provide a certain kind of hint to the user or developer that whether the performed task is successfully executed or if something unexpected happened or gone wrong. You can also get input from these dialog boxes. The dialogs provided by JavaScript have a very simple and non-customizable interface. The following are the dialog boxes in JavaScript. Among that, the first one is alert dialog box in JavaScript. Alert we have already used in the previous examples, but again as it is a dialog, so we will go through it. So simply alert dialog box is mainly used to display a notice, warning or error to the users. Basically, you can't customize dialog box icon or title. You can only provide a message that the dialog box will display. In addition, alert dialog box has only one OK button to close a dialog box. The syntax to write as alert is simply a alert function name, or we can say keyword alert keyword, or we can say function, and in bracket we have to provide the message that we want to display to the users. So this is a alert dialog. Next one is a prompt dialog box in. Okay, so what the prompt dialog box simply? So prompt dialog box is used for users to enter an information, or if you want to get a value from the users, you should use prompt dialog box. This dialog box is very simple. It includes a text field for users to enter information. Okay, the dialog box has two OK and cancel buttons. That means it supports two buttons. One will be OK and second one would be cancel. To display a prompt dialog box, you can call the prompt, then a prompt function having a two, we can say argument. One is the message and second one would be the default value function, in which the message is one for user, default value is a default value pre-filled in the text field, and that will be displayed to the user. But once a user enters a new value, it is going to be, we can say, removed from the field. If the user clicks OK, the function returns content on text field. Otherwise, if the user clicks cancel, the function returns null. Okay, let's have an example. If suppose we are having a variable guest, then we will use the prompt dialog to ask the users to enter the value, and we can fetch that value in a guest variable, and we can say display it. We can display it. Okay, let's test it practically so that we can easily understand. Okay, dialogs is there. So here simple a dialog is there, alert dialog, hello, welcome to BAOU, we have already written. Then up we can say prompt dialog is there, see guest, prompt, welcome to BAU, enter your name. So we have simply provided we noted a default name. Okay, that will be displayed when the program will execute, but once a user provides a new value, it is going to be removed. Okay, then after we can print it. We can print it using the variable name that from in which we have fetched the value. Okay, moving next is a third, that is confirmed dialog box, confirmation dialog box. So confirmation dialog box is used to ask the user to confirm something. Okay, this dialog is very simple. You can't customize the icon or the title of the dialog box. You can only provide a message box asking the users to confirm. This dialog box has two OK and cancel buttons. To display a confirmation dialog box, you can call the confirm message function in which the message is one requesting an user to confirm. If the user clicks OK button, this function returns true. Otherwise, if the user clicks cancel button, it returns false. The syntax would be something like this. Okay. If the result is equal to confirm, do you want to continue? If user clicks OK, then it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. A condition kind of things. We can fetch these conditions to process further, match the condition to process further. Otherwise, just else block is going to be executed. So let's have a look of the confirm dialog box practically. So after this, we can say a prompt dialog. We have a confirm dialog. See, we have a variable answer is equal to confirm. Do you want really to continue or exit? Like that, whatever you want in the question. You can just ask the user, and based on the user's input, whether user clicks on OK or cancel button, if it returns the output. So if the user clicks OK button, that means the OK returns true, and that will be stored in the answer variable. So we will check whether if answer is equal to true, that means user has clicked OK, then this message is going to be displayed, or it goes to the else block and the statement written in else block will be executed. Okay. Now let's have a look while executing this dialog program. See here, first alert dialog is executed. Hello, welcome to BAOU. Then after the prompt will be executed. See here, welcome to BAU, enter your name. The Finos is the default that we have provided. Now we can just remove it and provide another like Ahmedabad. Okay. Then we will click OK. So it will go for the confirmation dialog box. Whether do you really want to execute or exit? If you will click OK, then it will display the message of the if block. Otherwise, if you will click on cancel, then it will execute the else block. OK. So thank you for using our resources. Okay, this is the message that has been displayed in a, we can say, in a if block, a true block we can say. Thanks for using message. If you have clicked cancel, then the else block would have executed. So this is all about, we can say, prompts or dialogues supported by JavaScript. 3 dialog boxes are supported by JavaScript. One is alert, second one is prompt to get the value from the user, and third one is a confirmation dialog box. Based on that, user may decide whether he or she wants to process further or not. Okay, moving next is a function. Function helps the user developers to make a task or program very simple and compact, as function carries a bunch of statements that will be executed as and when the function is called. So whenever we are having a same kind of task to be executed number of times in our programs, we should bunch it into a function and write a function and call it as and when required. So it reduces the lines of code as well as the complexity of managing it. So in JavaScript, function is a set of statements, as we discussed, that are used to perform a specific task like adding 2 numbers, finding the square root of a number, or any user defined task. It can take one or more input and can return output as well. Both taking input and returning an output are optional. Okay, it's not compulsory. Using functions avoids repetition of the code, as we need to write the code only once, and then the code can be called anywhere using the function name. Function can be helpful in the following scenarios. If you want to add some numbers and display the results on the web page, in that case you can define the code for adding the numbers in the function and call the functions whenever required. Repetitive task also function helps us, okay, and removes the complexity or reduces the complexity as well. There are, we can say, 2 categories of writing the functions. One would be the writing a user defined function, and second one is using a built-in functions. So let's talk about user defined functions. How do we define our own functions? So to write our own functions, we will use a function keyword, then after the function name, okay, and then after the brackets, okay, parenthesis we can say. So parenthesis may require or may not require arguments depending on the user's requirement. Okay, if the function requires argument, we have to pass and if the function doesn't require arguments, we doesn't need to pass. At the same time, functions may return a value or may not return a value. Okay, it may perform certain tasks but does not return a value. So it is also dependent on the user's requirement whether the function will return a value or not. Okay, let's have a look at how do we call a function. Okay, simply, so by writing a function name, we can call a function, we can call a functions. Let's test it with our examples so you can easily understand. So here simply what we did is, in a script tag we have defined a function, a sum functions, okay, simply. Okay, and what the sum function does, so based on the arguments we have specified, like here we have specified a and b, it returns the value after summation, that means return keyword is used. Okay, return a plus b. So from where it is called, so here the last statement is that document.write sum of the number is, and we have, see here we have called the functions by specifying and providing the values, sum functions. Okay, so here we are calling this is the calling of a function, and it returns the value that will be displayed over here. Okay, at this stage. So one way to invoke a function is using this, and second one is what, based on the events that we will see later on. But this is what the functions with our parameters, but we may have number of functions in the script tag. Okay, we can invoke number of functions. Okay, so if we want to write a functions without argument for displaying a message, then we can write like this, function message without any arguments and simply a curly braces, and we will here write simply a message like document dot write welcome. Okay, simply if we want to call these functions, okay, so we will again write the same kind of thing, Control C. Okay, we will here invoke it using the message like this. Okay, functions is going to be executed, but it is not going to print anything, or so we can call it as somewhere else. It invoke, okay, welcome will be displayed over here. You can also return it somewhere. If you want to return, you can return like this, return. Okay, you can return the value as well. So welcome here without argument, we can say without argument. This function is without argument message. Okay, let's run it so that we can understand the function. User defined function examples, so somewhere it is having a problem. Let's see the code, as where we made a mistake. Okay, MSG function, MSG or MSG, it is MSG. Okay, see here, without argument the welcome is executed and sum of two numbers, that means both the functions were called, okay, in a sequential manner. First one, this statement executes, so it invokes some message functions. Okay, this is a calling of a function, so message function is going to be called, and then after we can say some functions is going to be called, and whatever the function returns, that will be displayed or embedded with a string that we have provided in a write functions. So this way we can create a functions, write the code and call the functions in our application. Function return statements. Function may or may not have a return statements because not all functions returns an output. Okay, sometimes we doesn't need to return a value from the functions. As per the two main parameters, argument and return value, we have four types of functions. We can say functions with no argument, no return value, with argument, no return value, no argument with return value, and with argument with return value. So you can, we can say, make a function as in a different scenarios as mentioned over here. You can specify the argument but not return value. You can specify the argument and return value, okay, vice versa, and implement the functions functionality. Okay, so in the same way here, see here, we have return a one functions, okay, constant square is equal to function number, then we are returning the square of the number, and then the function is called and it is written, like that. Now moving next is document object model. So what document object model is? So the DOM is a web interface developed and released by World Wide Web Consortium. This organization was founded to establish standards for World Wide Web. The DOM is a web API that is language neutral. This means that you can implement and adapt it in the programming language. The DOM represents the structural pieces of a web document as objects can be accessed and manipulated. The DOM allows us as a software developer to do the following tasks: create and build web documents, navigate the structure of the web documents, add, modify or delete elements and content within web documents. The structural representation created by DOM is very much like a tree. It has several objects in it known as nodes. It is called a logical structure because DOM doesn't specify any relationship between objects. The browser uses the object tree representation it builds from the HTML documents so that it can be rendered on the web page. Okay, the tree structure of the DOM looks like this. At the top there is a window object. Upon the window object or below the window object there is a document object. That document is simply our web page. Whatever HTML files we are writing, that will be known as document. So within the document it may have a link, it may have a form, or it may have an anchor text as well. Okay, the form again will have number of other controls or objects in terms of text area, checkboxes, radio, select, reset button, etc. And the select may have options. So the tree goes down. Okay, so that's why the DOM is it looks like a tree structure. But at the top there is a window object, and under the window object there is a document, and the document may have various objects as shown in the image. So window object is the topmost object of the browser, which is always at top of the hierarchy. It is like an API that is used to set and access all the properties and methods of the browser. It is automatically created by the browser. Okay, so window object is automatically created by the browsers, and it is having various methods. Okay, we used the pop-up methods like alert, confirm and prompt. So they were the methods of the window object itself. But as it is automatically created by the browsers, we doesn't need to write window.alert, window.confirm or window.prompt. We can directly use the method names. Document object. So when an HTML document is loaded into a window, it becomes a document object. So once the HTML is loaded, the document object comes into the picture. The document object has various properties that refers to other document objects which allows access to and modification of content of the web page. If there is a need to access any element in an HTML page, we always starts with accessing the document object. Okay, so through document objects we can manipulate the content of the HTML document. Okay, document object is a property of window object. Then after there is a form objects, link object, anchor objects, form control elements, everything is there. Okay, methods of a document object. So there are various methods supported by document objects. One is a write, that we are always writing in a JavaScript programs, document.write, okay, to display the content on the browser window. Then after the get element by ID method is there, it returns the element having the given ID value. It matches the ID specified. Get elements by name. So it returns all the elements having the given name value. It returns enumeration kind of things. Get elements by tag name. So it returns all the elements having the given tag name. And get elements by class name. It returns all the elements having the given class name. So these 5 methods are very important of the document objects. Let's have a look practically so that we can understand it better. Get element by ID, class name, by name, okay, and by tag name. Open it. So let's have a look at get element by ID. Suppose we have a function sum, multiplication, minus, division. This is a calculator kind of mechanism. Okay. See here we have used 2 input fields. Input type text and ID is number 1. Input type text again is having an ID number 2. Okay, and the answer field is there having ID answer. So we have 3 fields with ID number 1, number 2 and answer. Okay. So what we are going to do when the user enters a value in a text box 1, we need to fetch the value from the text field 1. When the user enters in a text field 2, we need to fetch the value from the text field 2, and both the values of both the will be used and fetched for the required purpose of performing the binary operations like plus, minus, into or division. So what will happen here? How do we fetch it? To using the ID or giving method. See here, suppose a user invokes a plus method or minus. So what does it makes? So we are using this syntax document.getElement by ID method, and we are providing the ID of a particular text field. So number 1 is the ID of the text field 1 and number 2 is the ID of text field 2, and then it is going to be converted to value by using the value property. So document.getElement by ID number 1. So we have to provide the ID of a specific field of which you want to fetch the value, respectively for other fields, okay, using the getElement by ID method. And then after we will perform, okay, after considering and translate, we can say casting it to integer type. Okay. So add A plus B and the respective answer will be again provided to the third answer field after fetching its ID, that is answer. Okay, so document.getElement by ID answer dot value is equal to the latest, okay, say performed task, whether it is plus, minus, into, division, whatever task user has performed. Fine. So the same code is we can say repeatedly copy pasted in the multiplication, minus and division functions, or even the square functions. Okay, nothing else, cube, this different, the same mechanism is there. So let's have a look while executing this getElement by ID method, so you can understand it easily. As we have 3 fields, so number 1 is having the number 1 is having ID, so we are providing 15. In a text field 2 we are providing 20. Okay, so now when I click on the plus, both the value will be fetched using their IDs using the getElement by ID method, and the answer will be displayed in the third text field based on this ID. See here. Okay, if I will change this minus, then the answer will be again modified. So this way we can have a getElement by ID method. Same way a getElement by name method is already there. How it is used, let's see practically. GetElement by name. Suppose a function is there, total elements. Okay, so variable we have used is all genders. So document.getElement by name. The element's name is PG. Okay, we have the fields in a form is male, input type is equal to radio, name is PG, input type is equal to radio, name is PG, and input type is equal to radio, name is PG1. So here see the two fields, okay, male female is having the same name PG, while the female the last field, radio field, is having a different name, that is PG1. So what we want to do, we want to just count, okay, input type button, and when the button is clicked, so it's having a one attribute named on click, we can invoke a functions, okay, on on click that total elements should be counted. So how do we count? So simply we will just use a get element by name method of the document object. So document.get element by name, its name matches PG. So two fields is having a PG name, so that will be just displayed, okay, all genders dot length, okay, so it returns a 2, so the length would be 2 of the variables, that will be displayed. So get element by name method returns how many elements are having the same name, or we can count the number of elements based on its parameter value that has been returned to us simply. Which programs get elements by name? Okay, this is a different programs we are executing. Get element by name 1, it's a name 1, okay, not name, this one. Okay, total counts, see here, total genders 2, having a name PG, name PG. So this way the get element by name, get elements by name method returns the count of the names. So the same way by tag names we can have a functionality get element by tag name. So what is the tag name? Let's see, okay, total paras, the document by get element by tag name, input, how many input fields are there? See here we have simply input a single tag, input is there, okay. So same way we have just computed it and the message we have displayed. Let's run the program by tag name, so you can have the counter of that. Simply we have a single input tag, so it returns a 1, it returns a 1. So these are very important methods of the document object. Apart from these methods, document object supports various properties like cookie. It returns a report that contains all the visible and expired cookies associated with the document. It is also having a properties like domain, last modified, document model, ready state, referrer, title, and URL. Thank you friends. In these sessions we have learnt the various kinds of dialogues supported by JavaScript like confirm, alert, and prompt dialogues. Apart from that, we have discussed function, how do we write a function, how do we call a function, and how do we pass values as an argument, and how do we return values from the functions. And then after we have discussed document object model with its various objects like document and window objects. And then after we have discussed the methods supported by document object along with its properties. Thank you very much.
स्वाध्यायः परमः